Hmm. Yes. Quite fascinating. Consider the following, Houston. After months of rumors, in March, Emily Kaplan of ESPN reports that Dan Friedkin is in talks with the National Hockey League to bring a NHL franchise to Space City, Houston, Texas. Shortly thereafter, Elliot Friedman of Hockey Night in Canada and Sportsnet pretty much confirms this. He says that the National Hockey League has told its Players Association that expansion is forthcoming. With that in mind, Houston has waited for a statement from Mr. Friedkin or an acknowledgement from the NHL itself. None have been forthcoming.
Well, we're waiting.
Which means, Houston, we must speculate and investigate. What up, homies? My name is Matt Savage. I'm your host of Mission Control, Houston's hockey podcast. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Dan Friedkin. We're not going to dox him or anything, and I'm going to stop doing the horrible Sherlock Holmes impression. But hey, how about that production value? Nothing but the best for you guys, right? Look, I mean, you're watching a Houston hockey podcast, so you're invested, right? So what kind of sports owner is he? Can we expect him to be? And yeah, I'm going to keep looking over here because I got notes on things, right? So, first thing we should talk about, well, wait, why isn't it Tillman that we're talking about? Tillman owns the Toyota Center, right? Well, yeah, he does. But it looks like the asking price for an NHL franchise, I've been saying $1.5 billion. It looks like it's going to be $2 billion because the average valuation of a franchise is $1.9 billion right now, right? So last round of expansion, Vegas paid $500 million. A couple of years later, Seattle comes in at $650. Tillman wanted to pay that Vegas amount, according to reports. Sportsnet, I'm sorry, 32 Thoughts, Elliot Friedman with Sportsnet. That's his podcast. That's what he's saying. And obviously, 500 million and 2 billion are way far apart. So, okay, the guy doesn't like hockey, or at least not enough to pay full value for it. Consider that this guy bid $2 billion to buy the Rockets and competed with Beyonce for it, and he's not willing to go over a quarter of that price. He's out. And that's okay. He doesn't dig hockey as long as he stays out of someone else's way. And well, here comes Friedkin, right? So let's just talk about him. Clearly, Friedkin can afford it. He's the guy who is owner or chief executive, whatever, of Gulf States Toyota. And you're like, oh, okay, I've seen a Gulf States Toyota franchise, but a car dealership isn't NHL ownership money. And you're right, but Gulf States is the umbrella, and under it, at least according to ChatGPT, because, I'm like, all right, that's Sterling McCall, Don McGill, Mike Calvert, Joe Myers, Fred Haas, names that you see on the back of cars when you're driving around town, right? And also a lot of businesses that are associated with the auto dealership industry. Beyond that, though, he owns a bunch of luxury resorts and hotels, including some of those fancy rich guy safari trips. You want to go see a lion or shoot a gazelle? I don't know what rich guys do. I'm a teacher, right? So, golf clubs, not golf clubs, but, places to play golf, which again, not cheap. Part of the entertainment industry, or at least his group is, they produce Killers of the Flower Moon, which I feel like I heard of. It's artsy fartsy enough that name sticks in my head. And also a movie called Parasite, which apparently won an Academy Award. Don't ask me. I'm like all hyped up on Andor. So, sorry. Culturally dead as I am. Sorry. Cat emergency, apparently. She needs pets. Also, either he or his group consulted on Landman. And I couldn't find any ownership of oil and gas companies or anything like that. However, he's invested in it somehow in some way. He is a opponent of, he's a proponent of a state Senate bill to limit wind and solar energy. And if you think of the only good part of Landman, which is the Tommy Lee Jones speeches about oil and gas, and especially that one about wind turbines, you're like, okay, that kind of tracks. Now, the Chronicle did a hit piece. I'm calling it a hit piece on Friedkin, and they didn't really talk about what the benefits of Friedkin's bill might be. Just basically, they drew a Snidely Whiplash mustache on him. Sorry, young people, just a super villain, and made Friedkin out to be some kind of anti-environmentalist supervillain here. Maybe, I don't know, but my thought is, if the Chronicle is against it, I'm for it. So, but that's just my thought. But regardless of your politics, how you feel about the oil and gas industry, we're about to get a cattail in the camera, and I'm going to keep going. Yes, hi, sweetheart. Regardless of how you feel about it, what you care about is what kind of sports owner is he going to be, right? So, what kind of sports owner is he? He owns two European soccer clubs. I'm not calling it football. He owns AS Roma, which obviously in Rome, part of Series A or Serie A. And he owns Everton. He just bought that a couple of months back, which is a Premier League team. And the thoughts on him, just going through the subreddits and going through fan message boards, the takeaway on him is that, well, better than the last guy for both clubs, except he's got a little bit of controversy. We'll talk about that here in a second. But the knock on him is, while he brings the money, which of course the sports fan likes, he's not involved. Like, he's not invested. Like for AS Roma, one of the things that the fans keep saying is, well, his kid keeps showing up to games. Why doesn't he show up to games? And the answer is, because he lives in Houston. I mean, what, you know? But he doesn't engage with the supporters. I got my notes over here. I'm just going to keep looking at them. Sorry, there's a lot to process here. But not engaging with, or being, removed from the club, that's a good news, bad news thing. Because on the one hand, yeah, you want an owner that cares about the team, right? But at the same time, you want that owner to step back and there you go. Enjoy the butt shot. Al, come on. All right. So should I edit that out? I'm not going to edit that out. That's too much fun. Yes, you absolutely want an owner that cares about the team, but you also want them to be removed enough to let the professionals do professional things, right? Okay. Another thing that I kept seeing is the AS Roma fans were unconvinced that winning is important to him, which that's not a good commentary. But you know what? We hear the same thing about Jim Crane, and the guy brought us 2 World Series, and it's like, he doesn't care about winning, Okay, well, I mean, after having won, you're going to say he doesn't care about winning, I guess. So sports fans can find anything to complain about. My point being, maybe it's true, maybe it's not, but we can't just rely on message board, fan hatred as a good, here, look, do you want to, come here. There you go. This is Cinderella, everybody. All right. Anywho, if I were more professional, I'd do an edit, but I've learned the lesson of making too many edits, so we're gonna let it go. Anywho, I was thinking about us. I was thinking about us, Houston, and I'm asking myself, do we really just have bad sports owners here? Or is it just as bad as every other city And just because we're close to it, we're like, oh no, we're cursed with bad owners. But let's just think. I got three that just came immediately to mind. First, you young guys may not know this. Drayton McLean, who owned the Astros prior to Jim Crane, buys the team in 1993. And he says, as he takes over the team, he's like, "Ah, shucks, I'm just a businessman. I don't know much about baseball." Okay, great. Does that mean you're gonna keep your hands off the team? No. So first thing he does, 1993, signs the two most high-profile free agents. Which, you like that, right? Sure. He hires, or he signs Doug Drabeck and Greg Swindell, both of which are bust. And McLean learns from that spending money on players is just a bad idea. Now, to his credit, he does keep renewing Bagwell and Biggio. Look, unpopular opinion, I don't think Bagwell and Biggio should have statues. Sorry. To me, they're the guys who kept choking in the playoffs. I know. Well, you can write your hate mail. There you go. Contact info is down there. Or comments, whatever. But okay, to his credit, he does do that. But he gets involved in baseball decisions, even though he's not really spending or putting forth more money after his initial disasters of taking over the team. But he gets involved in baseball decisions so much that general manager Jerry Hunsucker just splits. And then we have the 100 loss season in 2011. And all right, he'll eventually sell to Jim Crane. And yeah, he thinks he's good. Second sports owner I'm thinking about, Bud Adams. And we probably shouldn't have to say too much, but you know, I saw a thing that it's like the 25th anniversary of the Texans or something like that. I don't know. I don't keep up, but all right. Maybe for you young guys, we need to say a little something about Bud Adams. Bud Adams kept vying for a new stadium, which who could blame him? That's what owners do. I get that. But the way he went about it, almost extortion with the city of Houston. And yeah, the city of Houston was a little bit behind other major cities, but in terms of making sure the pro sports teams are taken care of. But yeah, he did not deal with this the right way. One of the things he did was he makes this press conference talking about his plans for a new stadium that he's going to share with the Rockets, where the ends of the arena retract or, you know, whatnot. And the Rockets come out and go, no one talked to us about this. And then, of course, he does the thing where he rips out the iconic Astrodome scoreboard, the legend, the one that's in the movies and everything else, eighth wonder of the world, all that stuff. Rips that out so we can build more luxury boxes, saying he's not going to move if the city does that. That happens, and then he winds up moving up to Tennessee, and they can have them. By the way, the easiest money I ever won. I don't sports gamble often, but I bet on that Super Bowl when the Titans were in it because I'm like, nah, they're still the Oilers. So, you know, at least we have the knowledge that teams never won the title with him or his even more miserable daughter at the helm. And then third and finally, Les Alexander. But Savage, he was a good sports owner. We got 2 titles out of him. He was a philanthropist. I know, but he kept the NHL out of here, and you're watching a hockey podcast. So, all right. So, the quality of the sports owner matters. And the NHL historically has not been good about vetting sports owners. Remember, boys and girls, it wasn't that long ago that the Tampa Bay Lightning enters the league, and they were owned by the Yakuza. Oh, you don't know that story? Yeah. Just real brief. The Esposito brothers, they have an investor that dropped out as they're making their pitch to NHL expansion. So they need a last minute source of money to keep the expansion momentum going. And they find one. They find this Japanese company that's looking for a foreign investment owned by a guy named Okubo, who allegedly had ties to the Yakuza and used the team as a money laundering operation. Allegedly. Oh, wait, hold on. Allegedly. There you go. So it matters what kind of sports owner he is. So let's talk about Friedkin. And for the AS Roma, his first soccer club, apparently he fired a manager that got some fan backlash. So he fires a guy that's rebuilding. He brings in, I say he, but whoever he's got as a surrogate, or maybe he, I'm not sure. Brings in someone who's a club legend to manage the club, and then fires him too. So they're staying in Serie A, which means, if you know how soccer works, I'm sure, they're not moving up, they're not moving down. Okay. So aside from that initial backlash for firing managers, fan reaction to him is like, okay. And that seems like a good thing. He's got a new stadium coming over there, so more on that in a bit. It looks like he's partnering with the city, which, again, that's what you want, right? Because right now they share their current stadium with another soccer club. Apparently that's a thing over there. So, okay, great. Apparently that's going well. He's owned Everton in the Premier League since December. Jury's still out on there. Last I looked, Everton was in the bottom half of the Premier League, staying at a relegation. And the feedback that I saw was that Friedkin is like putting some money in, looking to stabilize the club. It seemed like they were kind of falling there for a bit. So, okay. So with that in mind, I don't know, like, is there such a thing as a beloved sports owner? And I thought about it, and I went looking around. Does anyone really like their owner? And like Cowboy fans, I know they just love the Cowboys. But what's weird about that, I looked, and like most Cowboy fans aren't a fan of Jerry Jones. It's like they love the club despite him. Okay. So Robert Kraft of the Patriots, despite his personal controversies in massage parlors, you know, the fans over there in the Boston area, they seem to like him. He spent the money to bring in championships. Okay, cool. They like him. And then I'm just, you know, look, the guys close by. I'm always looking at Dallas and what they're doing. Mark Cuban. I know he doesn't own the team anymore, but he brings the team a ship. He's clearly an invested fan. And look what happens when he sells the team. The GM trades away a franchise player, and then you get a chance to fire the guy. Even at Stars games, they're chanting to fire the Mavs GM. So a good owner makes all the difference. So how is Friedkin? Seems okay, I guess. I mean, I tell you what, if someone turns you onto this video and you're watching, just know I'm rooting for you, okay? And you got to respect someone who's looking to bring the league in, right? So, to me, a fan reaction of is pretty good, right? Because the only time you really talk about sports owners is when they're doing something you hate. Like with McNair saying, yeah, let's move out of the stadium you just built for us not that long ago. Which, by the way, who could blame him? That area is horrible, but, you know, sorry, bud, you still got some debt to pay down before you wind up getting out of there. But they'll let them out. I mean, come on. So, speaking of, we should ask, where are they going to play? And I saw something, actually a friend of mine, or online friend, yeah, I can say friend, I think, is saying, you know, we should build up the Astrodome. You know, it's just sitting there. And I like the spirit, but I'm like, man, that thing's been rotting it's been doing nothing but deteriorating and serving as storage for over 2 decades now, closer to 3. It's just not a good idea to try to put hockey there. Besides, the area is horrible. At least that's my initial thought. And then I'm like, they're reviving RFK Stadium in DC. And if they could do it, I guess, I don't know anymore. I guess we could do that for the Astrodome, right? I mean, to me, the Astrodome's always been like Social Security, right? So we know it's just deteriorating and eventually it'll crumble to nothing. But any politician that dares to make a suggestion about it, it's like a third rail. You just shouldn't touch it. It's whatever you decide to do with it is going to be awful. Riddle me this. Have you ever heard a good Astrodome plan? Yeah, me neither. All right. Other than bulldoze it and do what? And do what then? I mean, the whole idea was let's sell the Astro World. Let's move out because the land is too valuable. What's sitting there now? Yeah. So, I don't know. It's not that crazy of an idea. If we're going to go back to the Lightning here. When the Lightning first went to Tampa Bay, their initial stadium was Tropicana Field. It looked weird. They called it the Thunderdome while they're building what is now Amalie Arena. So, okay, you could do that. Now, a lot of people are going, well, wait, Savage, why are you even talking about this? Won't Tillman let them play in Toyota Center and that'll solve all our problems? I don't think so. Now, remember what Les said when he booted the Arrows, which is I can get more money out of concerts and other events like that. And then the concerts and other events never came. But there was this belief that hockey's not going to be the big revenue generator. And Tillman tipped his hand of what he thinks hockey will generate in his arena by not willing to move up past that $500 million mark. He doesn't have a lot of faith. So is he willing to rent out? I mean, maybe if the team pays an exorbitant amount, maybe temporarily. I think a new arena is being built. And I don't think it's going to be in Houston because it can't be. Check out this Houston Press article. You'll notice that it says 30-mile radius here of Toyota Center. That's pretty much Houston proper, which means you got to get out of Harris County because this is a Harris County Sport Authority thing, which means you're building this thing in a suburb. And now we're left to speculate which suburb it's going to be. So I've done some thinking about this, and I think that we're getting a new arena in Katy. Okay, why I think that? Well, number one, in Katy, there is a 2 ice slab rink being built. And I don't know if it's NHL quality. I don't know if anyone's talked to anyone. We are now on the speculation part of the show, right? But that could work as a practice facility, maybe. Unless Friedkin wants to build one himself, which why wouldn't he? I would love it if we did what Dallas did and have like 5 different Star Centers, or can we use the name Aerodrome if the team is Arrows? Would they be willing to work? I don't know. But anywho, so I think it's gonna be in Katy. Number one, because we got our practice facility kind of close. Number 2, because there are Gulf State offices in Katy. Number 3, we know how much Katy loves their stadiums. Good Lord, have you seen the high school stadiums? And number 4, I really, really want it to be in Katy. That's why it's wishful thinking. It's close to where I live and where I work, and yeah, I mean, Old Man Savage is going to get nostalgic on you again, but when I was living in Sugar Land, it was just a quick hop on 59, about a 20-minute drive to get to Arrows games at the Summit. And I know urban sprawl means it's not 20 minutes anymore. And I know the whole canyon under there means that you're sitting there for, entirely too long. But whatever. I mean, I have great memories of short trips and free parking, which I know isn't going to happen also, but I just love the idea. And then what do we name it? I mean, are you going to name it Gulf States Toyota, not that far away from Toyota Center? No. But I have an idea. What do you think of this? You need a Texas company, right? I mean, there you go. All right, fine. That was fun, right? Wow, one topic. I have other things I want to talk about. Remember last episode? And I know it was a long time since last episode, but again, teacher AP test just happened, and getting my final papers out for my master's program. Yeah. Before we get the team, the schedule might be a little erratic, and we'll just all live with that, right? But yeah, I think now's a good time to call it here. Boys and girls, thank you for investigating with me. And I got some other things I want to talk about, but we'll save them online, and we'll save them on social media, and something to talk about on next episode. Until then, we're all rooting for you, Dan. Elementary, my dear Houston.